we are good. Hi all. Thank you for joining in. I think there are some guys who are requesting to join. You just need to join automatically. The request to join is for the guests and myself. So, karibuni sana. Hi, Wanjiko. Please feel free to put some comments down there. I will we'll go through this and then we will have a Q&A. And I think it's about time we get moving. So back again to breaking barriers. We all have stories. There are stories of triumph out there that would act as great motivators, but sadly those stories go untold and we never get to hear about them, yet we have many opportunities to learn. And that is why I came up with breaking barriers, because every other time when we have runs or discussions with people, you sit and listen and you get to interact with stories that you actually think should not just be seated in people's hearts and their minds, and that they need to be told because they can encourage others. And for 2 years I harbored this, but I think the avenues, like I was telling Esther the other day, just to get that started, YouTube, the course, the venues, etc. So I decided to make it very simple, and here we are. So our second guest is Esther Mbau. And interestingly, Esther, when we did the launch of Breaking Barriers, I had one question about who would like to be featured, and amongst the people who listed was her. So thank you very much, Esther. So, and I can talk about, I say about stories every time when you interact, and sometimes when, especially when you have functions, you don't have the time. You finish a function, for example, a run. For me, I'm normally very, very busy because of normally hosting. So you have to entertain many people. But when you get moments and listen to people, like this Saturday when we had the breastfeeding run, I interacted with one of the runners that I see in every run and attends most of our runs. And he had a very, very interesting story. And I told him, look, that is a breaking barrier story. I'm sure we shall feature him and others someday. But today, again, welcome to Breaking Barriers. Inspiring stories crafted around challenging norms and overcoming challenges by people around us. Today, Breaking Barriers presents Esther Mbau. Ess Mbau, as she calls herself, or she's commonly known. An amazing lady, a lover of life. I actually didn't know this bit about her being bubbly. I just see her running just up and about. So I didn't, we hadn't had a chance to interact until recently during the last few runs. We had sessions where we had people discuss and say things about their training, etc. A mother of 3 amazing boys and currently single. I see many comments coming there on that one. Yeah. Timothy Kanibu and the rest who are joining in. She has a passion of empowering and growing others. She terms herself as a natural healer, a natural born healer. Actually, better put, a wounded healer. Professional, she's a counseling psychologist. I was actually amazed to learn this, which is a good thing. Sometimes we don't know what people do beyond running. She was never a sports person. Alikuwa naona sports kwa view sasa. But after taking up running in 2019, she's now a great advocate for everyone to get off the couch. Just in case that question of single has triggered some additional thoughts, in December this year, she will only have 1 year left to make her last bit of plenty mistakes, trying out on stuff before life begins. So if you are used to listening to riddles, then you may have figured out roughly how old she is. Importantly, she holds the coveted position of the chair lady of SRA. How many know, with a membership of about 2 million people, how many people know what SRA is? Can people who know SRA, what SRA is, raise up their hands? Surinda. Who knows what SRA is? Actually, whoever knows, I must get them something. But I know she has a lot of membership. So anyone
I can see my members here.
Your members are letting you down. Your 2 million strong members are letting you down. Can you type what is SRA, her members? And I have to check that it's not Esther typing. If I see Esther typing, I know she's answering the question. We need that answer. Yeah. Hey guys, you're letting down your chairperson.
My people.
Anyone? Yeah.
What is
Mention them
SRA?
by name. Eh?
Even Surinda is a member.
Yeah. Surinda, you have a form. But I see Surinda was in and then out. So SRA, for those of us who have refused to, who have disowned our chairperson, it's the Slow Runners Association. Okay? Now you know, Slow Runners Association. So she's the chair lady. She enjoys outdoors. And today Esther will be walking us through an amazing story about running and mental health. So Karibu Esther, you can say hello.
Hi.
This digital king, I don't know whether he's now copied my Kenya or he was typing. Anyway, we shall discuss offline. Karibu Esther, say hello.
Digital King is a member, so I don't think he got a Kenya from you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to the show, David. When I saw the Breaking Barriers platform, I also got in touch with your vision and what you're trying to do. And I was like, I would love to share my story. And I would love to just encourage other people because, like I said, I just love to grow people. I love to encourage people. If you've seen me on the trails, I hug people a lot. I cheer them on. You know, I'm like, you go win. Mi nitafika tu na pace yangu. Watu wa slow runners, we make the fast runners look very good, which I am proud of. So today I'll be sharing my story, why I'm passionate about running. And I'll also talk about mental health because that's something else I've become very passionate about. And I think the two are much very hand in hand and they flow together. So a bit of a background from me. I see a former primary schoolmate who's joined. She can tell you for a fact I wasn't a PE person. So all my PE teachers, I'm sorry. If you're seeing me running and you see my stats and you're thinking, what happened to this girl? Please listen to a bit of my story and you'll be able to understand what happened. So I think I'm wondering where to start my story from, but I'll give a bit of a background in terms of I'm the fourth born in a family of four, born and raised in Nairobi. And when I got to the age of 19, 20, life started happening. And at the age of 20, I found myself pregnant. So I'm also sharing my story because these are stories that need to be talked about. And some norms actually need to be broken, not just in the running circle, but generally in our society. So at that point, at the age of 20, you're in Africa, you've disappointed your parents, you know, you've let down the whole society. So what do? You have to get married. So what did we do? We got married. And I got my firstborn at the age of 21. So he's turning 18 very soon, very shortly. My secondborn is 13. And my lastborn turned 8 last week. So I'm a mother of 3 amazing boys. I'm glad I got them. However, I'm sad to say that how I got them was not in the best of circumstances. I found myself in a very toxic relationship. I found myself in a place where I can now openly say that there are instances of abuse, and I'm not here to mudsling anyone. I'm owning my story, I'm owning my reality, and I'm saying this is what happened. So along the journey of life, you're seeing me all bubbly and all. At some point, I was a dead woman. Literally, you can imagine the bubbly me being all quiet, looking all haggard. If you go to my page, you'll see some of those pictures and you'll be like, is this your mother? Is this your grandmother? But life had happened. And so at some point, I felt truly, truly dead. And I did a program. It's called Alabastron. I did a program called Alabastron. And it helped me be able to start rediscovering myself. This was after my second son. A lot had already happened in that relationship and in that union. And I was at a place I was feeling like I really want to give up on life. Even by that point, I knew I was totally off. Something was off because at that point, I had even gotten addicted to wine. So before coming even to running, I had tried other things. I'm going to be very honest. This is a story of owning my reality and letting people also own their reality so that they can heal. And after going through that program, that's how I discovered my passion. I've always been a helper. I've always loved helping people. This was brought out to me even when I was in school. I got an award for being the most helpful girl award. So when you see me helping people, it's not a face, by the way. It's something that's just inborn in me. And I discovered that, you know what, I could go back to school and actually help people. And just to take you a bit back, when life happened, just before I got pregnant, I had actually been called to campus to do psychology. Then because of what was happening at home, I wasn't able to join campus. And I thought now my dreams had died. And then you remember I said, when you get pregnant at that age, you literally told, sasa sumepata nyumba. Sasa niwende ulee watoto na ulinde nini mwanaume. So you also kill your dreams and you're thinking all the dreams I had of ever becoming an amazing person are gone. But along the journey of life, I rediscovered now through this program that, you know what, I actually love working with people. And by this time we had even settled in life and we had really, really grown. And so I went back to school. I did my counseling psychology diploma, 2013. In the middle of it all, I thought I was done with having 2 kids. I ended up conceiving my 3rd child. So he's the greatest blessing. I'm not ever gonna call him an oops baby. God knew I needed this child. Even till today, God knew. So in 2014, as I was in 2015, as I was graduating with my diploma, I graduated with my son. And then I also lost my dad. And I started to decline again because as I got this child, there are also a lot of issues in that relationship. And it got to a point I knew this just wasn't working. Even with children, even having tried everything that you could possibly try as an African woman, I knew this wasn't working. And it got to a point I used to always feel I am not good enough, I am not worthy, I'll never amount to anything. And so this really affected my mental well-being. And the good thing about when you go through a counseling psychology program, you have to do therapy. And that's why I call myself a wounded healer, because you have to taste your own medicine before you give it out to the world. So as I went through therapy, I knew for sure, as parents, we could be very good parents, but as partners, we are just not working. And I tried a few times to get out of it, but it was not being well received. And so between 2014 and 2018, I can honestly tell you, because I was trying to reflect on this point in my life as I was planning for this talk, I can't remember much about my life. It was pretty hazy. And I remember by 2018, I was at 85 kilos. I was overweight. I was unhappy. I felt like I literally had to struggle through life somehow. I had tried gym. I had even paid 3 months subscription. It didn't work. I think after 2 weeks, I was like, oh my God, this is just not the place. You go in there, you're trying to lift your leg, and people are doing, 90 degrees. You can't even do 45 degrees. So I knew this wasn't working. And I can't remember how I found myself into Team Jasho, but I saw an advert, and there were ladies I used to follow on Facebook. I remember there was Shiko Shikuku. She used to really, really run a lot. And there was also Adele. She's my friend from another circle. And I would see them running and they're posting all these things about runs and they're showing medals. And you're thinking, my God, what does my life amount to? I can't even run. So anyway, I signed up to join Team Jasho. And I joined Team Jasho in January 2019. And I remember the first time I got in there, I was like, wait, here people are posting some stats. Because my first run, and I remember I even screenshot it, I couldn't even run 200 meters. By the time I was getting to 200 meters, my heart was telling me, you either stop or we stop. So I think the whole 3 kilometers I walked. But with encouragement, I think the end of that first month, I did 50 kilometers. And I was feeling really accomplished. But I was like, let me keep trying. Let me keep trying. The second month, I didn't do much because at this point, I'm really questioning myself. I'm wondering, am I good enough? Will I ever be able to do anything? Will I ever be able to amount to anything? And so in March, I think that's when I went for my first run. And I literally keep telling people who are joining running, when I went for this first run, I walked 90% of the way, but I thank God that Desmond was very patient. I was actually the last person to finish this run. And when we got to the finish line, I'm like, wait, I've done 10K. I feel like I'm gonna die. He looks at my face. He's like, you've not even sweat. As in, there's no sweat. There's no drip of sweat. Hey, I asked myself, God, what is this? But anyway, he's like, you've done well. You know, keep trying, keep pushing. And 1 week later, I remember going now for my first run where I got my first medal, because I can see medals behind you. I went to the forest where we had this run, and I went with my friend. And when we got the medal, man, I was like, I've actually gotten a medal. Me who's always feeling I'll never amount to anything. Me who's always feeling I'm not good enough for anything. Me who's always nganganaying with life, because going through school, even by this point, it had been a struggle. So after 2015, when I graduated, I joined campus to advance my education, but it was a struggle. I'll be very honest to say that I didn't feel supported in that relationship in any way. Part of it is I felt I kept on being strangled, and that really affected my self-esteem. So after I did my first run, I was like, whoa, so I can actually be getting medals and I can do something about my life. And I remember in 2019, I collected so many medals. And every time I'd go, I'd meet people. Now, this is the time now I'm making friends with the running community. I'm meeting people in Team Jasho. And I'm starting to gain back my confidence. I'm starting to gain back my self-esteem. I'm starting to believe that I'm actually a human being. Because by that time, I was actually feeling like I don't even deserve anything. I'm not anybody. And you know, you go, you make noise in the group, you post a run, and people are like, well done, you woke up, kudos. Someone says, you know, keep at it. And I think when I met other people who are going at my pace, that's now how we started the Slow Runners Association. And I was like, let's cheer people on. Let's keep encouraging even the last runners. So for me, it was always about just crossing the finish line. And by the end of 2019, because when I started, I was around 85 kilos. I think by end of 2019, I had dropped now to 69. So you can imagine you've dropped the kilos. You're more alive, because with every run you do, you know, you're breathing in more oxygen. There's something happening with your body. Allow me to throw in a term we call neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is what we say our brains can actually modify and change with every activity we do. So the more you keep doing an activity, the more you rewire your brain. So what actually happens if you keep doing activities that grow you as a person, you're rewiring your brain for more possibilities, and you're opening it up for more growth as a person. So by the end of 2019, I had regained my self-esteem. I had joined a community. I had learned that, you know, these runs give me some endorphins that I never thought I would ever experience. I feel good with every run at the end of it. And it gave me energy to start rebuilding back my life. And that is when I discovered, you know what? This relationship is just not working for me. And it's not that we are bad people. We're just bad people together. And we're inflicting pain on each other. And we both have a lot to work on with each other, away from each other. And maybe if we work on each other apart and we feel like we could reconnect, then it is okay. But I knew I needed to be able to say, the woman that I am today needs a break to be able to rediscover herself again on her own. Because I had lived with someone from 21. I had become a mother from 21. I had taken on responsibilities that I was not ready for at 21. The other thing I say as a psychologist, because I'm sharing on both capacities, our brains fully develop between the ages of 25 to 28. So at 21, my brain is nowhere to mature. So at this point in my life, having started running, having lost weight, having practiced neuroplasticity, and my brain is forming all these new neurons, I'm feeling I actually need to take a step back and breathe and then reevaluate some of the roles I have taken up along the journey of life. So in 2019, I went and I told my partner, this is just not working. And sadly, it wasn't well received. It was received with some threats. And still being in that place of, can I not? I started developing fear. Sadly, in March 2020, now COVID checked in. And I had slowly started saying, you know what, by March, this is still not working. I need to leave. I have informed my family. This is Africa, unaambiwa ngangana. Me, I'm going to be very real. You know, you go, you tell your family, you're told, try harder, pray harder. Allow me to say this, some years back, mpaka nilikuwa nimepanda mbegu. You know, you try everything.
That's
everything you think that can work.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't working. So in 2020, now I started doing ultras. And with every ultra, if you've done an ultra, at some point, you don't even talk to people. You're talking to yourself and you're questioning about life and you're questioning a lot of things about life. And that is when I discovered my truth and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. And I have asked for this and it's not being received. So I was like, you know what? I need to try and be able to do something. But as I tried to do that, I fell into a depression. So I'm meeting guys, I'm doing ultras, but deep down I'm depressed. And when I go to my therapist, he keeps telling me, you're getting worse and worse and worse. You're helping people, you're pushing your limits, but you're not internalizing it for yourself. You're not internalizing what you're telling other people, how you're growing other people, how you're liberating other people for yourself. And it reached a point, he told me, you either have to make those tough choices or I make the tough choice of sending you to a psychiatrist for antidepressants. And that is when I knew I had to do something for myself. And I told myself, this is what I'm going to do. There's a particular ultra I went for, and I'm not going to mention it, but this particular ultra was like, if I finish it, then I know I'll be able to survive on my own. And I went and I finished it. And that's when I went back and I was like, I finished it. I didn't die. I can actually set goals, set out, and I can accomplish them. And I came back and I started to hatch a plan. And as I was hatching the plan to leave, things were just not working. So one day, what did I do? I took my clothes. I was like, because that time my partner had taken the kids out. I was like, this is my time to save myself. I can't keep staying here saying I'm staying here for the kids and I'm dying every day. So I was like, I took my clothes and just like the runner I am, I ran for my life. Literally, I ran for my life. And I started from the ground up. Today I'm wearing this medal because this medal was given to TJ women who did the 30-day November challenge in 2020. And this medal reminds me, because I remember this is the challenge I ran the hardest, even in terms of my stats. I was like, if I can keep pushing with this challenge for 30 days and I'm running a minimum of 5K every day, I'll be fine. And so I keep wearing this a lot of times because it keeps reminding me that I can actually find the strength within me to be able to keep rising higher and higher and to keep achieving bigger and better things. So what I do nowadays, literally, is I have turned my runs to make meaning out of it. So when I need strength, I go out for a run. When I need patience and I am tired, I am patient with myself and I will walk, even if it's at pace 12. if I need to just be able to talk to God, I have used the running space for me to be able to talk to God. If I need to talk to myself and be able to just power myself to keep moving with life, because I literally started from scratch. When I ran, I started with a mattress and I started from the ground up. And I have been able to say slowly with every run, with every month, I am growing my life. So with every run nowadays, if you check even on Strava, I keep writing something or I keep sharing something, because I make meaning of my runs, and my runs are not just about PBs. For me, my runs are actually about taking care of my mental health. And that has actually helped me recover back my mental health. After a few months, even my therapist was like, I can't imagine this is the you I saw a few months back. I actually can't imagine you've been able to make strides and to move forward because of you just being intentional about looking for your zone that takes care of you and takes care of your mental health. So for me, running is about life. It has literally saved my life. It has given me a new lease of life. It has given me passion for life. You know, there's this quote that keeps saying, running may not add years to your life, but it adds life to your years.
Yes.
That is what running is doing for me every day I get out. So literally, as I come to the end so that you can ask your questions and people can ask their questions, I make meaning of every run, like I have said. And just to mention, your run for 2022, 1st of January.
Yes,
Blossom
the
where you're
Ignite,
planted.
the Ignite run. Yes, Blossom where you're planted. Yes.
Yes. And it's not the first Ignite. I think there was another Ignite. Was it in 2020?
There's one about hope. We had a dove as our yes.
Yes.
We are going to be doing the course this year, next year. We are actually planning working on it. Yeah.
I hope it's still on the 1st of January, because for me,
it has to be first of the start of the year. We were actually when we did the first one and we got about 80 to 90 guys, we were actually very impressed because we thought no one would come. I think it is only getting bigger. COVID, of course, made us slow down and watch the numbers. We limited to 100, I think, in 2021. But I think the next coming one will be quite big.
So for me, the one for 2022 has been very, very instrumental. I even have the medal here. If you don't have your medal, Missy Jui. By the way, this medal, where is yours?
Yes, in this way. Let me see. I need to find it.
I literally collect these medals because for me, every medal has a story behind it. And I have put them in a place near my dressing mirror, because every morning when I look at those medals and I'm having a really tough day, I remind myself, you did a 21, you know, you did a 10K, you did a 50. So what is this that is gonna limit you today, you know? So for me, Blossom Where You're Planted was very instrumental for me this year, because this is the year I decided I'm going full throttle even in my practice. So I am going to go full throttle. I'm going to plant myself in that organization, and I'm going to blossom. And I even told myself, even in the hard times, because there's still hard times, allow me to say this, for those people who have gone through separation and divorce, it's like it's like mourning, it's grief. It is grief. You're actually mourning the death of so many things. You're mourning the death of a relationship. You're mourning the death of how you had hoped life would be. You're mourning the death of your status, because there are people I have lost because of my new singleness. You know, I'm single, but the people who look at me like uliachwa, you know, I'm a uliachana. You know, there's that stigma that comes with it. There's so many losses you experience. There's loss of, for me, it was loss of how I knew life, because I had to start from scratch and build it afresh. So with those losses comes the normal loss and grief process. You will be angry. The days you wake up, you're angry. The days you wake up, you're confused. The days you wake up, you're depressed. The days you're even still in disbelief. But if you're able to actually find that thing that works for you and keeps you going every day, then you're able to rebuild your life one brick at a time, one step at a time. And I think for me, just being very intentional, like even with like Ignite, because this is the one that is on top of all the other medals, is today, what does blossom mean for me? Blossom could be today you rest. Today blossom could mean do that proposal and send it in with or without confidence. You know, today is go pitch and sell yourself. Today blossom could be I just need to go and keep even fighting to be able to totally delink myself and find new meaning in life. So running is just not about the PBs. It's not just about, you know, covering the distance. I think runners will tell you if they're very intentional, there's a mental process that goes through it. And as a psychologist, I actually encourage people to take up a sport, because with a sport, you're able to activate the 4 main hormones you need in your system on a daily basis. You need the dopamine, you need the oxytocin, you need the serotonin, and there's the 4th one I have forgotten. But all of them are actually activated by your running. So the endorphins are actually things you can deliberately choose to take to the other areas of your life.
So no wonder we keep running and wondering, why do we run and we hurt? So now it's making sense. We are getting some drugs that we must live with. Now this is coming home.
So for me, literally, I have purpose to start my day with a run.
Yes.
If it's a rest day, I do active rest if I have the energy, and I go for a walk. But just the process of me moving, by the time I'm coming back, it gives me energy to keep moving and deal with the other areas of my life.
Correct.
So I take that energy from my runs, and I'm able to say, today, I'm going to see my clients, and even sometimes, even on the runs, I am able to process my clients more effectively. So I'm able to think, my client came with this issue. What do I need to do with them? How do I tackle with them today? Or today I say, as a mother, how can I be able to show up better with for my children? Yes, on the tough days, let me be honest, like on the days when, you know, after you separate, there are those meetings for family, or there are reconciliation talks. For me, the runs would give me clarity to be able to prepare for those talks.
Yes. That is when you see you doing a kapatlet of sorts. And you remember
so people are wondering, today you ran P6. They don't know that P6 is to ground you. You know,
it's preparing you for a battle in the afternoon. Okay, Esther, that's a fantastic story. And because there are guys who are actually requesting that, hold on, we tell others to join. So there's a bit more guys who have joined. But what we will do, we will actually try and just sort of go through, recap, and get the questions, get the story in another, through some discussion. So that's actually a very interesting story. And when I look at it, actually, it's talking to a lot of things. It's actually picking yourself up. I'm actually quite impressed that even the schooling was done in between all these issues, because I think obviously inside you somewhere there is some inner strength that is quite huge, because you know, school is not easy alone. Family is not easy. Issues are not easy. So to be able to go through those, then I think you have to summon a lot of mental strength. So now maybe for those around us here, probably the question would be, of course, it was not probably a one event, one occurrence, but what would you say was the one thing that made you just gain the actual strength to, it brought you to the realization that you are actually going through a mental issue? What sort of one thing or season made you realize, I
think it wasn't one thing. It was a number of things.
Yes.
But I remember actually the first time I realized I'm having a mental breakdown.
Yes.
It was this time I went to do that program I had mentioned called Alabastron, because I saw this woman and she was talking about how we as women, it's okay for us to be mothers, it's okay for us to, you know, to be wives, but you shouldn't lose yourself. And at that point I asked myself, what happened to the bubbly girl? What happened to the girl who used to think, you know, the world is hers to conquer?
Yes.
And then people would be like, you know, you're no longer happy. Are you okay? I had alienated myself. Actually, there are friends I have worked with who've really fought with me as well. And they'd be like, what is going on? But I was too ashamed to say that there are certain things going on in this relationship that are strangling me, so to say. The last time now for me to be able to say I need to take off, it is me coming to that place of acknowledging, because with every run, I'd take time to reflect. And it had gotten to a place now, as I was running, I realized I need extra help. And nasemanga mganga hajigangi. And I also acknowledge nowadays, and I tell even my clients, I am a human being. So the moment I became a counseling psychologist, it doesn't mean my problems dissolved. And it doesn't mean the people around me also became counseling psychologists with my knowledge. Now they know how to sort issues out. So it got to that place now, as I kept on with the runs and I kept on being authentic with myself, I acknowledged I needed help. Something I need to talk about is the definition of mental health. Mental health is about 4 key things. It's about knowing yourself. It is about managing daily stresses of life. It is about knowing you can work productively and fruitfully. And then fourth, it's about being in a community where you feel you're making a meaningful contribution. If you can balance these 4 things, then you're able to manage your mental health in a very healthy manner. So also having joined this community and you're feeling accepted, and you know, people are high-fiving you and you're feeling a sense of belonging finally, I was able to also say, I need to come home to me and I need to just deal with my issues once and for all. So instead of, and allow me to say this, instead of me using running to keep running away, I used running to help me deal with the issues.
That's a good one.
Okay,
and I think that's why you mentioned a community that supports. So I think eventually, like you said, you stumbled on Team Joshua. So at least you've got a community that supports you. Through this season, just a question: were you sharing these issues with anyone at all, or I mean, how in terms of I saw a very interesting thing the other day that. When you stopped telling the people around you about your issues, suddenly there's no one who knows what's happening to you. True. The best friends are the ones who give out your issues out there. Did you have someone you were telling, one individual other than a psychologist?
I'll actually say the people, as I kept on running, the people I became very close with in the running circle. And one of actually the people who've really supported me, allow me to celebrate him, is Desmond. Desmond has been like a brother. Literally. Let me give an example. There is, you know, now you're starting afresh. You're trying to balance your bills and things are thick. Desmond at some point has been that person. I'm like, akileo hata sina pesa ya tokens. Allow me to be honest and say that. I have had female friends who are very close to me and they keep checking on me. I have had a circle of people around me who've supported me and they have made me feel accepted, worthy, and good enough, even as I went through this journey of finding myself and rebuilding myself. I've literally had people who check on me I've had people who call me and tell me, I've not seen you run, get out, let's go for a walk. And they know themselves. At our co-op,
yes.
they're like, can you get out? You know, put on your running clothes. Tukutane mahali. You know, because they're in the hood. And we walk. And by the time I come back, I'm feeling I have energy to keep pushing and to keep fighting and to keep facing tomorrow with renewed energy. So there have been people who've known my story, and they know even some of the very intimate details I've not shared here. And there are people who right now are hearing my story and they're like, oh my God, this is what has been happening. But it's because I've had people who've supported me. And even with mental health, you cannot go through it effectively and deal with your mental health issues if you don't have a support system. And the thing is about mental health, you may not be mentally sick, but you may also not be mentally healthy. So I was at that brink of getting to a mental illness and being told now we need to manage it with meds. But I made a choice. And with this choice, I got support. And I was able to now be able to work within and without to get to a place I am feeling very tops. Let me say that. Actually, I'm at that place. I think I told you. You guys have really inspired me. I'm like, I can do comrades now. You know,
yes. In fact, we have your form ready to fill. You just need to sign at the bottom.
So having a support system is very, very important.
Very good,
What keeps me motivated? There are days I have inner motivation, but there are days you're human. You don't have it. So there are people who you look up to and they inspire you. And if you read their posts or if you stay in touch with them, you know, they keep motivating you and they keep pushing you. The other thing that has also kept me really moving is these challenges. You know, these 30-day challenges, 100-day challenges.
There's one ongoing right now.
Yes.
It's starting in November. Starting in November,
Yes, the TJ Women. So this one, I got it in 2020 from the TJ Women. I'm sure this year they have another amazing medal.
Yes, it's out already.
Yeah, you just don't get to run the 5 kilometers. You also get to reflect on who you are as a woman. You get to plan your life in a way you have work-life balance, because also the running has helped me plan. Because if you don't plan for your runs, you will never show up. So this has helped me plan my days. Actually, I plan my weeks. So I sit down on Sunday and I'm like, these are the days I need to run. These are the days I need to walk. And then I'm able to balance my work and my life in a very meaningful way. And I'm able to plan not just for the runs, but time to meet people, time to be a mom, time to do all these other things. But it would not have been possible if I had not gotten to this place of being intentional about my well-being.
Okay. Then, in fact, it was interesting that you said in Ignite 2022, you slept with your running gear on because you really needed to make sure that that you would wake up and run. That was an interesting one. So that talks about having the drive and ensuring that what you commit to, you must do. That's very interesting.
What happened is I purposed to go for Rakesha. I'm a Christian. I believe in God greatly. I wouldn't have come this far without God's strength and God's protection. So I went for my Kesha, and I was going to do my spiritual part there. But for me, I was like, I need to set the tone in a very intentional way for my ear. And that is why I was like, with Ignite, I came home at 3, I showered, then I was like, if I don't wear my running clothes at this point, I will not go for this run. And this run is setting the tone for my ear. So I slept in my running gear. When my alarm went off after 2 hours, I was like, just go run, you'll come back home and sleep. And that is exactly what I did. So I went, I showed up, I covered my 21 kilometers, I got the medal, and I was like, I have set the tone that no matter what this year, I'm showing up, and I'm igniting, and I'm going to blossom where I go to.
You
the
know
blossoming could be in different ways, but I'm going to show up.
Yes, and that's very interesting. And now that you talk about it, we are there. We are all thinking people probably slept early or didn't even sleep, or they came from the club or whatever. But look at that story, and to just get to hear about it. It was even for me as the organizer of Ignite. I would make sure there is an Ignite, even if it was for that one person who will show up for that particular reason. To be honest, that's quite inspiring. So,
Yeah.
also with that, I know, and of course, there are days, like we say, we are human. When you feel extremely energy drained, and you feel like today is not one of those days to get out for a run. How do you master
Yeah.
the strength to get out there and go run? And I think you've talked about a bit about the people who may call you. Sometimes it's internal, sometimes it's people out there. But maybe you can just briefly mention a few things that just help you to keep going. And the fact that you actually, which I found very interesting, sort of relate any completed run with a success for you in the day. It doesn't matter if it is 2 kilometers, 5, an ultra, but that once you complete it, then that sort of sets the tone for the day. Yeah.
I think I have come to a place where I know what running does for me, or walking.
Yeah.
So I can literally leave the house dirty. I can leave my work pending. But I know if I go and spend time on this run, when I come back, I'm able to deal with these challenges. I've also come to have a close circle of friends, of ladies that we're even keeping each other accountable in terms of our goals. So you can go out, you can go there and be like, okay guys, today, I've hit rock bottom. And guys can tell you it's okay, you can sleep, or someone will tell you just go out, you get encouragement, or someone will even just call you and be like, what's going on? But what I have also come to learn is, with the more you keep running, the more you also gain consistency and discipline. And you learn that discipline is not just showing up on the days you feel like. It's also showing up mostly on the days you also don't feel like. So having goals that I have set really, really help me be able to keep on track and to keep moving. And then I also remember mentioning, I joined these challenges of 100 days, of 30 days. People keep seeing my posts. I'm like, day 98. It's because, let me tell you, I am a type A person. I never lose. Afadhali hata niko hospitali niambie daktari tukimbie hapa. But I know myself, and I'm like, I'm not bowing out of this challenge. So looking at what works for you and reflecting on it and mixing it together, then it's able to keep you moving.
Yes, and I think when you like it and enjoy it, then it stops being a task. Actually, you don't struggle to do it, and that's what you're told even about what you do on a day-to-day. Because when you like it, you don't actually feel any burden to do it, and that is the same thing for me. It's interesting that you mentioned about even if you are sick. There's a guy in Comrades who told us he's run every day for I don't know how many years. And the first question was, you've never been hospitalized? And for sure, he has never been hospitalized. But I guess even if he was hospitalized, he would have done about 10 minutes walk around the world.
There's this thing that we keep saying as runners. If you're tired, go run.
Yes, correct.
Go run.
Yes, go run. Yeah. No,
so when you come to appreciate the endorphins and you're able to see what they do for you, then you keep the discipline. But there are days I literally sleep in, and there are days I have acknowledged, because you need to have that balance.
Correct.
Because I'm thinking, for me, running is now a lifestyle. It's not for a season. It's for life. I want to be able to run like Surinda when at his age. I don't want people to say, oh, my knees crumbled.
You see, that's what I tell people, even when we work so hard and we don't achieve our goals. And I've talked to many people, some who are racing this weekend, some who had, and we've all had good runs and bad runs for those of us who move quite fast. But I tell guys, 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs should not make you kill your running, because even when we all started running, not because of PBs, there's always a motivation, like what you say yourself. Some is health reasons, some, you just want to stay healthy. And when you look at some of these guys who have done, say, for example, Comrades 45 years, that is 45 years of running, whether there was a gap or not, it means they have run for 45 years. So you don't want one season to sort of dictate how you look at your run, and then you put too much pressure on yourself. Of course, we all understand that in running there's a bit of pressure that comes, but I think we have to get, first of all, not to create pressure for others, and I think I've talked about it in our forums, and most importantly, ourselves not to be able to succumb to that pressure. I think everyone has a right to their opinion, but you also have a right not to let it influence you, and you just do your thing. And for us here, I guess, importantly, because I know there are people who make other people's runs their business, I hope this and many others that we have said makes it very clear that it is not everyone who is running for a PB. A run has different meanings for different people. So don't go tell a guy they are doing an ultra every weekend. Unless they have solicited for your help, leave them alone. If they must run that ultra, if they have to run it twice a week, you don't know. You may ask and try and figure out, but just don't judge. Don't say the reason why you don't do well in a competition is because you run an ultra every weekend. Maybe that is what they need to do. And maybe when that competition, they're not there for a competition, it's just another run. So I think it's very insightful, and I believe we are learning.
Actually, what I will say is extend empathy. Try to understand where is this person coming from. Try to be human and interact with this person. Even get to hear how did they start running. You'll be very shocked that they actually need you to keep encouraging them to do those ultras, because that is what is keeping them going. About pressure, I have come to learn, and this is what I am doing. I am running my own race. I have taken time and I've reflected, and I'm like, I have not made much progress in the past 2 years or so, given I would have wanted maybe to be at pace 5, pace 6 at this point. But I'm like, given what I have been going through in life, I have not added the kilos I had before. I have maintained, and sometimes I lose. It is okay. A little pressure. There's a supervisor of mine who says a little pressure is healthy because it keeps pushing you a bit, but you also need to understand a lot of pressure will make you crumble. So be able to understand, am I running my own race and allowing a bit of pressure to keep pushing me to keep moving at my own pace? Or am I now trying to run another person's race? Yet I don't even know their circumstances.
Correct.
I don't understand what they're doing. I don't understand where they're at in this point in life. So why would I try to keep up with them? And I'm supposed to be in my own lane. Weka lane yako. Kama lane yako ni 40, weka 40. Utafika bado. Wacha watu wa 80 wakuovertake. Mtakutana huko mbele.
And that's why I say, even in this forum, that even when we go, we sit, we are having breakfast. Let the conversation not just be about how fast we went, I mean, you can have that kind of a discussion, but also let other discussions take place, because we can spend so much time discussing about that, and that's why probably some people may walk away because that is not their space. So I think we are learning, and we can be able to have, like you have said, empathy about people's situations. So, in this mental strength journey, Esther, how do you measure progress? How do you determine? You have alluded to it, but because of the guys who may have come in late, how do you tell that you have moved forward? And I know sometimes you move forward, and sometimes you may move a bit back, or you may move, whatever the case. How do you measure progress for yourself?
I think I take time and I look at my progress holistically. So I don't just look at it in terms of the running and the pace. I look at it also in terms of this month. What have I been? Do I feel like I have grown as a person? What is the one thing I have done that I have grown as a person with? For me, yes, I set goals all round. Like with running, I have set, these are the minimum kilometers I want to run this year. Like I've said now, I have a long-term goal. Msifikire naenda Comrades next year, please. I know my abilities. Msinipe pressure, but I will eventually do it. So what I have done is I have made strides to be able to see now that I'm in a better place. Like with Stanchart, I have set a very small goal.
Yes.
So I have set the time I want to accomplish, and
Yeah.
I have decided, you know what, after Stanchart, this is what
Yes.
next I want to achieve. And I'm
Yes.
looking at, is this one step bigger, higher? Is it one step, forward? Or
Yeah.
do I first maintain in this season of my life? So it's first acknowledging where I'm at in this season of my life, what is
Yeah.
happening, even
Yeah.
in terms of what is around, because it will affect my mental ability. And then
Correct.
I'm able to set goals. So I set
Yeah.
quarterly goals, and then I break them down into monthly goals. And then
Yeah.
now I look at weekly goals. So I'm
Yes.
very intentional to take time to reflect and
Yeah.
to be able to acknowledge and be very real with myself. So I do a lot of self-reflection nowadays, which is something most of us don't do. Allow me to say
Yeah.
that as well, as a counseling psychologist. We've
Yeah.
allowed technology and we've allowed the pace of life to not
Yeah.
allow us to engage with ourselves in a very
Yes.
intentional way.
Yeah.
So do you take time one?
Okay, the video froze, Esther, so we are hoping you'll be back. But for those guys who are there, I think the conversation is actually quite interesting and insightful. I think for those who may have missed,
Yes.
Esther, are you back?
So can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes, now it's okay. Now it's okay. Yeah, go on. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying we don't take time to reflect and be able to
Yes.
look at where am
Yes.
I at even. Sometimes you even get a mental breakdown because you didn't take time to reflect and acknowledge where you are as a person. And by the time you're getting to that point, it's a bit too late. So taking time to pause, really pause.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes I even tell people, go for a slow run to just think and reflect upon your life. If you can't sit still, at least do an easy jog for you to be able.
Yeah, so what Esther is saying here, we lost a bit, is that you must make time to actually go do something that a run that actually helps you reflect. I know the push run, sometimes you have no time to think like that. But even for me, the easy runs, I think they help me go through the day. And it's the one time that you have to yourself, you and yourself. And we say that running, I'll let Esther come back. Let me just bring her back again. I think she got disconnected. Just 1 second. Yeah, she should be back. So I was saying that it's important that we get that time. And I know yes, welcome back, Esther. I was just saying there are many of us here that we have even talked about, and they've said the run is the one thing that they must do because it's the one thing that they do for themselves. The rest of the things they're doing for others, family, friends, work, to earn a living. But the run is the one thing that we do for ourselves. And that's why I guess there's a lot of emotional investment, physical, etc. Because you put in a lot, because it's the one thing that you actually want to be able to measure by. I've gone out, even just by saying I'll run 3 times a week and you run, that is a big achievement, because you set a goal, you hit a goal, So maybe Esther, moving forward, as a psychologist now, maybe we can tap. Guys, this one, you're lucky. We may get some free counseling here by Esther. If you need further consultation, then you can make a booking. So as an expert, we'd like to tap into your expertise and learn from your experience. There may be those amongst us who may be having mental health issues that they may not be aware. How do you identify that you have a mental health issue? What do you look out for? What are the red flags that I should be talking about? Sometimes I hear about no sleep. Sometimes I don't have sleep, so maybe I need to check myself in.
Yes, you need to check what's stressing you, because I keep saying babies just sleep. Babies don't even need a sleeping pill for them to be able to sleep. Or, babies won't say, I need a shot of something.
Even when they are asleep, they still sleep.
Yes,
No,
they sleep.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so one of the things is to look at how are you coping with everyday stresses of life. Let me be
Yes.
very honest.
Yeah.
Some of our coping mechanisms are quite
Yes.
unhealthy. And
Yes.
you need to be able to check and look at how comes
Yes.
I'm not able to break this habit? How comes I have
Yes.
become so dependent on this thing
Correct.
that, you know, sometimes I feel like I can't even function without it.
Yes.
That is already a red flag that there's something
Yes.
going on. If
Yes.
your patterns have changed, like you're saying,
Yes.
you used to sleep okay, you're not able to sleep, or you sleep too much,
Yes.
that is a red flag. If
Yes.
you used to be an extrovert like I was, and then all of a
Yes.
sudden you're becoming an introvert,
Mm.
or you were an introvert and all of a sudden you just want to keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, you need
Yes.
to take a step back and ask, is this change a positive one from a positive place? Or is
Yes.
there something I am not able to deal with? Like I
Correct.
said, mental health
Yes.
is about 4 things.
Yes.
Knowing who you are. Do you
Yes.
really know who you are? And not knowing yourself as a mother, as a daughter, as a brother,
Yes.
as a cousin. Those are roles. When you take
Yes.
away those roles, can you
Yes.
confidently say who you are?
Yes.
Can you stand and say, I am a healer, I am, you know, I am a good organizer? Are there things you
Yes.
can actually say when you do a SWOT that this is who I am? The
Yes.
second thing is about managing daily stresses of life.
Yes.
When you get stuck in traffic,
Yes.
how do you behave normally? You know, or if someone overlaps, I keep saying,
Yes.
even with our driving, we learn
Yes.
a lot about the mental state of people. Can you be able to deal with the daily stresses of life? You know,
Yes.
and this is where COVID came to show we were not coping very effectively with stress.
Yes.
Number
Correct.
3, do you feel you're being productive and you're
Yes.
making progress in your life?
Yes.
Do you feel like with what you're doing right now, you're getting a sense of fulfillment? You're
Yes.
able to say, I am growing. I may not grow in the rate I want, but I am growing. And then
Yes.
more importantly, number 4, are
Yes.
you in communities?
Yes.
Are you in a community where you feel there's a sense of belonging? I'm in a
Yes.
running community. I'm in a church community. I mean, even in your own family, do you feel it's a community and you feel you belong there? Those are the
Yes.
4 key indicators for you to reflect on and be
Yes.
able to see, where am
Yes.
I at in terms of my mental health?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
And if
Oh,
you're able to be authentic with that, then you're able
Yes.
to say, I may not,
Yes.
like I keep saying, I may not be mentally healthy, but I'm not
Yes.
okay. And if I don't deal with this space, I may
Yes.
get mentally ill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the guys I talked about. He was telling me that there's a time he didn't sleep for 48 hours, and then he was not feeling sleepy, and then that is when he realized there are issues, and he
There's a
actually checked his
problem.
traffic. So, rightfully, like you said. So, what are the steps to take once you realize that you have an issue? Maybe some guidance. Where do you start?
Ask for help.
Yes.
Ask for help.
Yes.
You could ask for
Yes.
help. Ask for help from someone who's close to you.
Yes.
Ask for help from a professional. Ask help where you're comfortable. I have
Yes.
had clients whose friends have literally paid for them
Yes.
and told them, go for therapy.
Yes.
I have had people who just call and say, this is what I'm going through, even friends. And I'm like,
Yes.
can we have coffee? Personally, I have people I lean to for support. And I'm like, where? Today I'm struggling. You know, just that safe space where you can be very authentic and say, I need help. We're in a society where asking for help has been likened to a weakness. It is actually not a weakness. It's a sign of strength, because as human beings, we are created to be interdependent. But we're in a society where you're told you need to be independent. I can do it by myself, you know. And nowadays people say, ukitoka soko, oga urudi. No. Ukitoka soko, enda therapy.
Yes.
Ask people to support you to rebuild yourself, alafu unaweza rudi soko.
Yes. Oh,
So
that is
asking
interesting.
for help is not a sign of weakness.
Yes.
Having boundaries is also not a sign of weakness. We need to learn to say no.
Yes.
And no is
Yeah.
a complete statement as well.
Yes, and I think we've consistently been told that saying no is one of the greatest things that one of the greatest words that we can learn to use. And I know I've posted about this that you should not feel, because one of the areas that we get stretched is also thinking that we must do so much for people. We feel that we must people's like what we do is what will give people happiness. Everyone should be responsible of their happiness, and no one should make you feel guilty that they are not getting happiness because of you. So when everyone takes responsibility of their happiness, then the world becomes a better place. In fact, I wrote the other day that something I listened from one of my talks as I work out. That some people, I mean, if you give 24 hours a day, some people will demand those 24 hours. And you must always find a way to refill yourself. You must not make yourself Superman. In fact, they say Superman is a fictitious person. He's not a real life person. They say even Jesus would take some time off. He went to sleep someplace away from healing people and left people and went away on his own. So we also shouldn't feel that we must do everything in a day, sort everyone's problem. It shouldn't be the case. Otherwise, those are the kinds of things that stretch you way beyond among the other things that we may not be able to move away from, like work, etc. And even work, I guess at some point you have to be able to tell yourself, look, is this killing you? You know, we say we are supposed to live every day. I know, depending on how you look at things, some people will say you live once, but that is another way of looking at it. But there's also that thing of you live every day and you die once. So if you're not living every day, then you have a very big problem and you need to check out some few things. So,
and my challenge, even to add to that, David, allow me to say, is how are you adding life to your days? It may not be running, but how are you adding life to your days? If you're living every day, what is that one thing you've done today to add life to it? Because you're not guaranteed of tomorrow.
Correct. Very true.
Yeah.
So how about those who don't have a mental health concern, or assuming that you know that you don't have? How do you guard yourself against getting them? I think some of those things we have covered. I don't know whether there is any other additional one. Don't stretch yourself. I mean, don't burden yourself with you did come into this world to solve everyone's problem. Any other comments that you can make on those other? We have probably expounded that in the previous one.
I think it's to be very intentional with your personal growth.
Yes.
Because I keep saying, if you're not growing, you're like, you're a living organism.
Yes.
If you're not growing, then at some point you stagnate. And then what happens to stagnating things? They start to die. So you become the walking dead.
Yes.
And when you become the walking dead, something inside of you has died, and you're not able to bring that spice of who you are into this world.
Correct.
So just being very intentional with your own growth is very key. And personal growth is about being very clear about what are my goals, not goals imposed on me, but goals that work for me. You know, even me just saying...
That's a good point. Not goals imposed, not people fixing you into their own mold. You know, people should not fix you in their box. That box has to be created by you.
And you see, society gives us norms and expectations that we also don't question. For me,
correct.
At the point I was like, I know being in this society, being a married woman has an honor, but really at what expense? You know.
Correct. Yeah, very true, very true. And it's a bold move to make.
Yes, allow me to also be very honest and say, when I left, I was like, I had a car. So how will people look at me now that I don't have a car? You know, that is our societal expectation.
Yes, I know, Yeah,
so that was
then
pressure.
For the wrong reasons. And those things, then I mean, you know, we say we came into this world with nothing and we shall live with nothing. So I think the most important thing is us. So I think the realization of that is actually, I think, one of the greatest things that one can do for themselves, that actually that it is you who matters. Those things around you, they don't give you happiness. They are not worth at all. I mean, your happiness cannot be compromised by anything else in this world, not even the people around you, your friends, your babies, your spouses, your workmate, your job, your career, your title, all those things. I mean, ultimately, you know, you need to live, and that is what living is.
My question is, what do you want your legacy to be all about?
Yeah.
Because that is what people will remember you for. So I want to be remembered for the healing, for the energy. You know, you'll keep saying at some point when God calls me, and I keep saying God will call me after 75 years.
Yes.
But at some point you'll keep saying, Aki, this is the woman who used to high-five us on the trails, you know.
Yes, yes.
Who knows?
Yes.
What do you want your legacy?
Atatuchelewesha hapa na high five.
Lakini mimi nitakuita tu kwa trail, by the way. You have to know I have seen you.
Yes. That's a good one.
So what do you want your legacy to be all about? Is it about things that eventually will fade away and people will move on? Or is it about that one thing, you know, that spice of who you are as a person that can never, ever be replaced by any other person? That is my challenge to all of us. Mental health is not about your job. It's not about the things you own. It's not about your status. It's not about the relationships. Mental health is a very personal thing. And we need to break the stigma. And this is the reason I also spurred this conversation. We need to be very intentional about talking about mental health, because a lot of us are dying inside. And we are too scared to come out and say, you know what, guys, by the way, I'm struggling. How can I get help? Or how can you support me? You know, but many of us tunambiana, we jikaze tu kisabuni, uko tu sawa. Kisabuni, hata sabuni inaishanga, ukiniambia ni jikaze kisabuni. You know. Yes, no. I think we need to break that silence and allow for more conversations and people just saying, at this point, by the way, I struggled and I overcame, and here I am. And I am at a better place, and I know there are better days still coming. So it is a very normal thing. It's just the same way as I would get malaria. And I overcame the malaria, and here I am running again.
Correct,
So we need to really talk about it.
Yes, and you alluded to one thing. You know, therapy, ukisikia unaenda therapy ni kama kuandika will. Ati sasa unaenda therapy, hata ukienda kwa therapy unavaa mashades na makofia za duka, ukija hapo unaingia what was it good?
I'm glad you've raised that, because I like to tell people, as a counseling psychologist, I work with normal people going through normal life challenges, just not coping effectively. If I feel you're sick, then I send you to a psychiatrist. But if you're a normal person, then therapy should be a way of life for you.
Correct.
For me, as a therapist, I have a therapist to help me as a person. But as a professional, I have what I call a supervisor. So I also have a support system to help me grow my clients. So therapy should be a way of life, and you should never feel ashamed about saying, I'm going in for therapy. You've gotten a promotion, it comes with anxiety. Come in for therapy. We actually plan on how to deal with the anxiety and how to help you cope with this positive life change. You've gone through loss and grief. You're not able to deal with it effectively. Go in for therapy. I think therapy has really helped me in various stages of my life. And I wouldn't have grown this far and been this confident if it wasn't for therapy. And then I take those lessons, and then I go and I come and apply them in life. And I'm challenged to keep growing as a person. And as I keep growing as a person, I keep growing as a runner.
Correct. And like we say, then when you grow, then you're also able to you become a better person to those people around you, as opposed to when you're grumpy and all beaten up. So of course, it's a process to it. There may be times that you're stressed and cannot.
Let me say this: you cannot give that which you don't have.
Correct.
So you can't say you truly love your children if you don't truly love yourself. You can't say you're patient with other people if you're not patient with yourself.
In fact, they say even in the Bible they say that the command is to love others as you love yourself. So if you do not love yourself, there is no way you're going to know how to love others. So that which you want to do to others, you must have done to yourself as well. And it's not being selfish, and some people may look at it in a certain light, but I love myself before I love anyone else. So
I actually think now with the running and having gained my self-confidence, I am a better mother, I am a better sister, I am a better friend, because I keep filling my cup with the things I want to give to myself, and I can give to other people.
Yes, that is true.
So
that is true.
Be very intentional with loving yourself first, because that's another mental health issue that comes in for therapy. You have loved other people, and then they've not lived up to expectations, hence you're getting a mental health issue.
No, that's good. That's good. So, Esther, as we come to the end, and I know people are listening, they've not even typed questions. I think they're probably quite digesting and all that. So if there are any questions, take this opportunity to type them in or make a comment, etc. There might be those around us who may need to get a bit more insights about this, get a bit more discussion, probably a one-on-one discussion with you for guidance, whether for you to handle it or for you to guide them to a place where they can go. Where can they find you?
I'm on
other
Instagram.
Than on the trails. Other than on the trails.
By the on the trails, I am not a psychologist. I am a runner.
Yes, of course. Yeah. In
so
fact,
you can come ask me for my number, then we meet later.
Yes.
But you can find me on Instagram, Ess Mbau, Ess Mbau, and we can talk further. On Facebook, Esther Mbau.
Yeah.
And where else? My office is in Hurlingham, which I think I can give the details if you reach out to me personally. But if you meet me on the trails, feel free to talk to me. Feel free to reach out.
So IG is Esther Mbau. Let me just type it in here.
Ess Mbau.
Ess. 2 S. Is it one S or two?
One
Ess Mbau. Wow. Okay, just make sure I typed it correct. And Facebook.
Facebook is Esther Mbau.
Okay.
Yeah, I see someone is asking, is there a connection with anger management issues and mental health? Yes, there is.
Okay. Yes.
Allow me to briefly share this. Anger is usually a secondary emotion. There's what we call the anger iceberg that has a lot of very many other emotions underneath it. And these emotions are caused by experiences, by words, and even by what you think. So what you need to be able to do is come to establish what has caused this anger, what are the underlying issues, the underlying emotions behind the anger, what brought about all these emotions, and how do we process these issues. So anger is what I'd say a fruit of something that's happened that you have not been able to process fully. We all have unfinished business that we need to deal with, and therapy is a very safe space for you to be able to come and process these issues so that people are not triggering you. When people trigger you and you get angry, they are just showing you their issues you have not dealt with in your life.
Yeah.
So they're just poking a button that needs to be completely turned off by you going through a process where you acknowledge and work through and let go of those issues. Most of the times, allow me to also say this, it is not what is happening that affects us. It is how we think about what is happening that actually affects us. So when you also come for therapy, you learn healthy ways of thinking and healthy ways of coping with what is happening around you. So yes, please come in and deal with the anger issues, because eventually anger leads to other mental health issues that you could be able to deal with. It could eventually lead to depression. it could also eventually lead to anxiety.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, and I guess if there's more to expound, then we can reach out to her. Christine Casina says, yes, we celebrate you for always being ready to empower. Thank you so much, Christine. Surinda is saying, hope your Garmin is on strength training mode. So I'm not too sure what that is. Maybe you understand that comment. Wanjiko joining us from the US after Chicago Marathon. Well done. She says, showing up regardless of how you feel. And I think this is just taking note. And I think this has been said to be a separator between good and the best, or average and extraordinary, because you must show up whether you feel it or not.
Yeah.
She also said, wachana na mtu zoe, maybe it was a comment from others. Yeah. Mato says, my 2 cents is women are able to deal with mental issues better than men because they talk. I think we had that discussion again as we did, I think, even on this Saturday as we were talking to the other gentleman. He says, as men, ni kufa kimwanaume. So maybe a comment on that for men, Esther.
I think men need to be able to acknowledge that they're also human beings and they have emotions and they're affected by life, and hence it is very okay for them to come in for therapy. Some of my best success stories actually are from men. I love working with women, but the men I have worked with, I'm like, God, please send more men, because when they start to heal, and they go and even heal their families, amazing things begin to happen in their lives. Because when you heal, there's a ripple effect. So those around you can also feel the effects of the healing, and it goes even into other areas of your life.
Yeah. Mato, we also need to practice how to cry. We need a crying club for men. Maybe those who joined late, we also had that... that Esther is the cheerleader of a 2 million strong movement. What did we call it? SAR? SRA. Runners Association. She's the cheerleader. So we need to start ours. But Rachel Gitonga says, amazing story, Esther. And Surinda also had added, it's because you blossom in every situation. That's why you're a successful woman. I think she's done a lot. I mean, just listening to what she's had to put in to even go through campus. Alcedo, you may know them. Maybe they must be, I mean, there's one of us. Thank you for joining. Adversity, perspective, clarity, results, takeout so far. Those are his takeouts. Very good. Martin Boro, again, interesting how running helps people in different ways. Very true. We have said running means different things to different people, so we must be able to appreciate that. Sarah, karibu sana. Bangu Slims, our physiotherapist, is in the house. Asante sana for joining. Godfrey Ngugi, Robert Nguyo, Siombua, DG Makaria says, thanks, Ess, for sharing your story. You're an inspiration. I guess amongst others, I think, there's been so many others. Martin is laughing. So, I think we had promised ourselves to try and keep it up to 7:34. It's been a fantastic story. I think we were really looking forward to hosting Esther. When I listened to the story, just for me to understand, what we'll be talking about in Breaking Barriers, I actually told her, the story, because of course we discussed it quite at length. But we are very happy. We're also very happy that you are willing to share, because normally we want to share stories of how we win, how we are beating hot, how we have gotten promotions. I think for me, Breaking Barriers is not just, it's barriers in any way. It's not just exceptional. I mean, and these barriers are probably bigger than even PBs. I would call them bigger than PB because they mean more than life. They mean more than, it's not a race. It actually means life. You know, it means the difference between being alive and being alive and dead. So it's a breaking barrier story. So thank you all for joining, and because I want you to have your evening. Any parting shots, Ess? I know you have covered so much. It's amazing. I've taken so many notes, by the way.
Thank you.
I'll not eating groundnuts.
Thank you for having me here. I think I have decided to heal loudly so that I can give other women the voice to also be able to heal and to know that you could be going through something and someone else has gone through it. And if I have broken that barrier, then you can also be able to find your way to break through that barrier. So I'm healing loudly. What I will say is, if you can't run, please walk. If you can't walk, please crawl. But no matter what you're doing, just keep moving. And what I'll say is, find your space, find what works for you. And if that space gives you energy, take that energy into your other areas of life.
All right. Thank you very much. Breaking barriers is about challenging norms, stepping out of comfort, picking yourself up and down, daring, overcoming, and inspiring. In every experience, it's important to take stock and take lessons to encourage and inspire others. That is what breaking barriers is about. Possibilities, the journey, one person inspiring another and creating a cycle of inspiration. So thank you very much. We shall be having another episode next month. We are supposed to have actually just 2 until the end of the year, until we discussed with Esther, and you know, of course, it is a story that needed telling. Thank you very much. Our next guest will also be a lady. She'll be talking about breaking barriers in another area, and she will amaze you. We'll be sending out a poster about her achievements, not in the running circles, but someone who has also done exceptionally well. So we are looking forward to also learning from them. And if you're out there and you feel that you have a story to tell that would inspire us, encourage us, please reach out to me. You can always DM me on my number or write to me at info@davidtuo.com. davidtuo.com. And of course, I think we have many people who would like to give stories. Allow me to select and also vary them. I would also want to capture people in other areas of other sports areas, because I want to just look around sports. But if there's anything else that can, because we just want to use sports inspiration through sports, amongst other things, I think I will consider any other thing. But we've got so many inspiration stories around sports that we may not be able to exhaust, not just running, but sports in general. So for now, let me wish you a good night. I hope you are all training for Stanchart. Ignite is also coming in a big way amongst others. So we are more than, amongst the many inspirations that we've had today, for me as the organizer of Ignite is to make sure that we are in Ignite, and of course the relay as well. But the next big one is Run Where You Live, coming soon. And Ignite, of course, the first race of the year. We start big so that we can set the tone for the year. Thank you so much. Thank you, Esther, and all the rest. Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. Yeah. All right.